Okay, we're just moving on to proportion. So while ratios compare one part to another, proportion compares a part to the total. So the proportion of the given circle, the proportion of red is 2 out of 6, or 1/3, whereas ratio would talk about the proportion, or the ratio of red to white, which is 2 to 4, or 1 to 2. Okay, so it compares that to the total. And if things are in direct proportion, they go up at the same amount. So if 1 litre costs 160, 2 litres will 320, 3 litres 480. So some questions will ask you about the proportion, some questions will need you to have knowledge of that things are in direct proportion. Okay, so here's an example of something in direct proportion. So car travels 78 kilometers on 9 litres of petrol. How far on 21 litres of petrol? So what you're presuming here is that the car, in the amount of petrol it uses, in direct proportion. Okay, and that each litre is going to use the same amount, or is going to get you the same distance. So there's two ways to doing this, and it depends on the numbers you're given, really. Alright, if they'd said, oh, actually I'll do this question first, and then I'll change the numbers to show you how it might have been answered a different way. So it says a car travels 78 kilometers on 9 litres. How far on 21 litres of petrol? So what you find out is how far 1 litre of petrol gets you. So 9 litres, very similar to the thing, is equal to 78 kilometers. I find out what 1 litre is 78 divided by 9. And again, in our calculator, 78 divided by 9. 8.666. I'll put a dot, the dot shows that 6 carries on, be careful. And you can leave that on your calculator because it'll be more accurate, so I've still got it on my calculator. So 21 litres is just going to be 8.66666 times by 21, and I'm leaving it on my calculator, times by 21 equals 182. Because you're presuming that each litre will get you the same distance. Now, I found out what 1 litre was. Say if I'd asked how far for 18 litres of petrol, I wouldn't have found one. I would have seen the relationship between 9 and 18. It's just doubled, so I would have just doubled that. Or you could have found out what 3 litres is, divided that by 3 and multiplied it by 7. So there's multiple different ways of doing this. So whatever way you'd want to do it, that's fine. How many litres of a journey of 390 kilometres? So this time you're actually dealing in the kilometres, so it's a bit trickier because the numbers are bigger. So we find out what 1 kilometre is. So we have 78 kilometres, gives us 9 litres. We find out what 1 kilometre requires. So that's going to be 9 divided by 78. On your calculator, 9 divided by 78 equals that. Okay, and because it's a fraction that looks ridiculous, just leave it as 9 over 78. No harm in that. And then 390 kilometres is going to be 9 over 78 times by 390. And I've just still got on my calculator. There's no need to write that down. Times by 390 equals 45. So you would expect to use 45 litres of petrol, 45 litres of petrol in that 390 kilometre journey. And again, if you can see the relationship between some of the numbers, you mightn't have to find what one is. Okay, but I'm just showing you that's called the unitary method, where you find out this will work for all of them. Alright, and then we'll move on to inverse proportion, which sometimes people find a bit more difficult as we go on. So direct proportion is one thing goes up, the other thing goes up in the same proportion, whereas inverse proportion is when one thing goes up, something else goes down.